Ladies and gentlemen, one and all, welcome back to Star Wars, not really, welcome back to Jedi Eternal, a Star Wars podcast. And it looks like I'm really peaking, but I'm here with myself and my good friend. I'm Braxton Taylor, alongside with Andrew. You are not my father, but you are someone else's Bolin, because my good man is expecting a baby boy. And we are so excited for him. And I don't know, it's not something we really talked about on here.
Yeah,
so
I don't think we have we?
No. So anyway, congratulations.
Thank you. Having a baby boy. Just had another ultrasound earlier this week, and everything was looking good. Actually,
nice.
So what's crazy is his size is already to where Caitlin was when she was born, which is our daughter. So, but she was born super early, but he's already reached the point of that. So
my man's got some girth. He's getting big already.
Yeah, so he's definitely gonna be bigger than she was. So. But we're excited about it, and due in April, so It's gonna come really, really fast.
I imagine so.
I already told my wife, you're really messing up my plans here, because April. I think it's April 6th or something is the premiere of the new Mario movie.
I mean, and honestly, your wife's gonna be in labor
and
be watching the Mario movie.
And then April 4th is the due date. So I'm like, listen, I got plans.
There's got big things coming. All right, I already have pre-approved things going on in my life, so I can't help it.
Right, this is a big stuff here. Okay, Mario movie. So. Yeah. I was either we're gonna have to figure out how to bring this newborn into the theater with us, which everybody would hate our guts, or you're just gonna have to be without me for a couple hours. Just hold it in. Hold it in a little longer so we can make sure we see this.
Exactly. But a big congratulations to our co-host here. And with that said, we are coming back to you for episode 91 after a little bit of a hiatus here.
Holiday hiatus.
I hope everyone who celebrates had a great Christmas and New Year's. Very excited to be back for the new year of 2023.
Yes.
Like I said, a lot of big, and we've talked about on our Facebook page, and we'll be discussing that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But there is a lot of stuff that is coming on the horizon of Star Wars in 2023, and we are very excited to dive into it.
Yeah, big year for Star Wars, which in turn should mean a big year for Jedi Eternal, right?
Yeah. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right?
We can only hope.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. So, for those that don't know, Braxton has also started a YouTube channel that he's doing.
Completely unrelated
to Star Wars, but I wanted to mention it, give it a call out, called Raven Outdoors.
Correct. Yes.
And so you can check that on YouTube, and he's just got it started, so there's not a ton of content yet, but he's been working on that. So
thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, you're welcome. But also, what's funny is since you started that, I can't tell you how many people have came to me and been like, "Did Braxton leave Jedi Eternal?" I'm
it's completely unrelated.
No. I'm like, he's just got another thing he's doing. Doesn't mean Jedi Eternal's dead or anything.
It's we don't do Jedi Eternal every day, so we can do other things.
Right. Well, it's kind of like when me and my cousin did the drink thing. I had people asking, "Are you guys quitting Jedi Eternal?" I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with Jedi Eternal.
Yeah, anyway. People just see one endeavor and think that's what you do.
Right.
So anyway. In 2023, guys, you can branch out and do multiple things. I encourage you to do it. So, anyway.
You don't have to just do one thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into this. Before we dive too far deep into it, we always like to touch at the beginning of our podcast into our Patreon. Of course, as you well know, we have some things going on over there that are exciting. We have one tier, only one tier, that is only $5 a month. And we are very thankful for those of you who have subscribed.
That's one less Starbucks drink a month.
And I mean, honestly, sometimes even less than that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's Starbucks drinks that are more than $5.
Yeah.
So I would like to think that there's some good stuff over there. Currently, I believe we have 7 or 8 episodes. Well, first of all, it's backed up, right? What do we offer with that? First of all, if you join, you become what is called a producer of Jedi Eternal, and that is you get first-hand say and comments and things of that nature on what we do here at Jedi Eternal and through the Patreon as well. With that said, one of the big things that that is a part of this Patreon subscription is that we have another podcast called And Other Stuff. And like I said, I was trying to say earlier before I cut ahead of myself there, is that I believe we have around 7 or 8 episodes right now. So that is more than 7 to 8 hours of content.
Wowzers.
And that ranges from anything, right? We talk about our personal lives. That's only one episode, so don't worry if you don't like that. That's only one episode, right? Even in that episode, we talk about other stuff too.
Yeah.
But we talked about we talked about Jurassic Park. We've talked about
DC,
DC and Marvel. We've talked about
games,
Assassin's Creed. So
Assassin's Creed.
Exactly.
Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings. We've talked about
we also, again, like, so we love to kind of dabble into some of our own adventures and things like that nature. We have an episode where we talked about what we did last year at this time, which is Niagara Falls. We're actually having another spontaneous trip at the end of this month.
I figured we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But we can get through this before we go.
Exactly. So we're going to have, obviously, a lot more of that in our and other stuff episode.
Yeah.
So if that's interested you, that's a big thing. You become a producer, you get the extra podcast, and you of course get expedited releases of the Jedi Eternal stuff as well. And last but not least, we always like to call out our producers each and every episode to honor you guys and thank you for your subscriptions. So Drew, who is our current subscribers?
Yes, so we have JB, Josh and Birkinshaw, the engaged one.
Oh,
so I don't believe we've had a podcast since this happened, but through over the holiday season, JB popped the question.
Let's go.
And it appears that she said yes. So congratulations to him and Rachel.
Yes, I believe
Rachel.
So, right?
Yeah, I believe it's Rachel. Sorry if that's wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Rachel.
I'm pretty sure it's Rachel.
But super excited for you guys, so that's awesome.
Yep.
And then also my lovely wife, Tara, Grace and David Gill, Alex Mason, Corey Wise, Jay Camdar, Jenna Evans, and Promise Quick.
Very big thank you to each and every one of you who are our producers and who subscribe to that Patreon. We're very, very thankful for that. Like I said, only $5 a month and you get some cool stuff. Of course, also, as we're going to expand into the new year, we're going to talk about that more, but we would like to do more with And Other Stuff, and we're also going to be doing some more live streams that are dedicated to our Patreon and a few different things like that. We'll discuss it more as it comes up.
Yeah, we're planning to have lots of fun, and, it's almost our 3-year anniversary, which we always do sort of a celebration with that, announce some new things. We have not pinpointed a date. We really need to do that because it is right around the corner. But we'll let you guys know when we have that date.
For sure. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into what you guys came here for, and that is the majority of Star Wars news, rumors, and things of that nature that's coming on recently. So, very first and foremost in our news, we have that Disney reveals the full list of Star Wars content for 2023. As I discussed earlier, there's a lot of stuff coming, ladies and gentlemen. There's games, there's shows, there's just tons of stuff, and we're actually going to talk about that in our community discussion about what you're most excited for. But Drew, go ahead and tell us what we can expect for 2023.
Yeah, so this was a report from Disney. So this is, accurate stuff here that we're seeing. And so we'll just kind of go through the list here very quickly, and then we can discuss it more. But first we have The Bad Batch Season 2, which of course has already started at this point. We're 3 episodes in. We are going to be discussing the first 3 episodes later in this episode. So if you're interested in that, hang on tight and we'll get there later. Then we have The Mandalorian Season 3, which has a release date of March 1st. So again, that is right around the corner. That's going to be here before you know it. So of course, incredibly excited for that one. Then we have Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. This they have listed for 2023. So this is, and for those of you who may be a little more unfamiliar with what this is set during the High Republic era. Yes, this will be our first High Republic era show, but it is a very it is a kids series. Like when I say kids, I mean like preschoolers.
Yeah, it's really a weird decision, in my opinion. But hey,
my newborn son is watching this with me. We're watching Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures.
He may not know what's going on whatsoever.
He has no idea what's going on, but he's watching this.
Yeah. Indoctrination from childhood,
That's right. So of course, like for people like you and me and those most likely that are listening, this is not really geared towards us whatsoever.
Right.
But still cool that they're offering that. And, I do appreciate having the idea of like this being a show that my son could watch, as he's growing up. Like I do think that is kind of cool to think about. So I think that's neat that they're doing it. But no official date just yet. Just that it is supposed to be coming this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Star Wars Visions Volume 2. This they have also just saying 2023. But you can imagine, we're looking at probably summer.
Yeah,
kind of what I'm leaning towards on this. Probably summer. Seems
true.
Like the first season was maybe towards the beginning of summer.
I think so.
I don't remember for sure.
Yeah.
But, now, what's interesting about this one is that, it is going to be all kinds of different animation through different countries and culture.
Right. So the last season focused majoritively on, Japanese anime style.
Right.
I know this season, as you just alluded to, is that the director, not the director, but whatever you want to call it, the showrunner type thing, he wanted to focus more on having a global influence on this and have different types of animation, as you said.
Yeah. And I think that's actually way more interesting to me than just having the Japanese anime. Having and it lists here the creative teams. We have Chile, France, Japan, India, Ireland, Spain, South Africa, South Korea, the UK, and the US are all having an episode.
Wow, yeah.
So I actually think that's
really
really
cool.
neat.
Yeah, I think it is neat.
And I think it'll be very interesting to see what they bring to the table in Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I was going to say is that, one of the primary things that was so unique about Visions in the first season was to see how this culture, who is not I'm not going to say polar opposites, right, but very different from our culture in the United States, to see how they view Star Wars, right, how they interpret it and whatever. But to see this on a global scale, to see so many different countries and so many different cultures, that's what's going to be really cool. And it's going to be interesting to see how they put their own flavor, their own spin on things while still maintaining Star Wars. So yeah, right. I definitely think that's going to be pretty cool
for sure. Then after that, also set for 2023 is Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
And this does not say when this is expected, but I'm leaning towards late summer, fall, or maybe even into like the very end of the year. We'll see. But I definitely expect this to be one of the final things that we get is Ahsoka. And we're going to talk more about Ahsoka, so we won't stop on that for very long. And then last here that we have is Skeleton Crew, which when I saw this, I was like, wait, Skeleton Crew is also coming out in 2023?
Right, yeah.
And that kind of that kind of blew my mind to think about.
Oh, yeah.
But since then, there has been more reports coming out where it looks like that may have already changed.
Oh,
that Skeleton Crew may end up actually not coming out till maybe the last few weeks of 2023, or maybe not even until beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that one, but I would say I would not plan on this coming out this year.
Which is kind of funny. It's like it's another ironic, very big example of how the marketing team.
Yeah. That they already announced this would come out in 2023.
Like a huge Disney announcement, and it's
already sounding like it's not going to actually happen. So.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Very
right?
typical of what we've gotten from Disney and Lucasfilm marketing.
Yeah. Good grief.
But so these aren't listed, but I do want to kind of talk about maybe a couple of the other things that are coming out this year, and then we're going to go more in depth into like what we're most excited for and stuff in our topic, or discussion topic or whatever.
Community
you call
discussion.
It. Sorry,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we do a podcast, guys. Yeah.
But we do have a video game coming. At least one that we know of for sure this year.
Yeah.
Which is Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. So very excited about that one. And then the only other thing I think of note that at least I would want to note is that there is another wave of High Republic books coming for Phase 2, and also Phase 3 should start in the fall.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
What's kind of breaking up that like beginning of the year tradition that they've had for a second?
Yeah. So it's looking like the anthology that's going to have stories set from all 3 phases. So that's actually going to be where we get our first phase 3 story will be set within that. And that book is set to release in the fall. So that will officially kick off phase 3.
Huh.
So I would say a lot of the rest of it will come probably sort of in the new year of 2024, most likely.
Yeah.
But we will get our first story within 2023. So
cool.
So that's kind of cool to note. But let's go ahead and move on from that for now. As you see, there's a lot of good things to look forward to. And we are going to talk more about what we're excited about and what you guys told us you were excited about. But until then, we're going to move on into our second news story, which is that the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer is to debut Monday, January 16th, during the NFL playoff game.
Interesting.
So now, this was not supposed to be revealed. However, in a press release from ESPN, it was actually put in there, and apparently it was not supposed to be.
Those dirty dogs.
But they did it, and so it's out, and everybody's been talking about it. So during halftime of the Super Wild Card game, and actually never mind. That is of no. Never. Just forget it.
Okay.
I was reading off this thing, but I'm like, that makes no sense. Why to even say that? So I'll tell you later. So, anyways, it's going to be the game against the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 8 p.m. So this is going to happen no sooner than 9 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Sure.
If not later.
Yeah.
We will get. Apparently the new trailer for The Mandalorian, which I would say is the final trailer of the, you would assume.
You would imagine
the final full trailer. Yeah. So expect probably a lot of things we've already seen.
Sure.
But there may be a couple of new surprises in there to get people really pumped and excited.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, last we left off in season 2, of course, we see that big moment where Grogu, instead of choosing Yoda's lightsaber, he chooses his armor. So what happens there? Or wait, what did he choose? I think, he chose right. I'm like blanking. Or did it drop off for him? He didn't choose.
Well, no,
he did. Yeah, because then he shows him in the.
He shows him in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, never mind.
Shows him in the Book of Boba Fett, and he lifts down his robe. It shows he's wearing the little armor.
Okay,
little Beskar. Beskar chainmail.
Yeah, I'm blank for a second. But yes, so where is this going to go? What that relationship with Luke? What's going to happen? So there's a lot of stuff in season 3 to look forward to for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think in a way, in my opinion, I think they're wrapping up. In this season, they're wrapping up the whole Mandalore stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're really going to wrap up that so that Mando himself can now focus on the future of what I think they're building up in this universe as a whole right now, which is the inevitable meetup with Thrawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, in my eyes, is going to be essentially Thrawn versus Luke Skywalker.
Sure.
But of course, Mando's going to play a huge role within that. So
yeah, for sure.
Again, that's just my prediction, but I've never felt so right about something. And if I'm wrong, then they're wrong. Okay.
This is Star Wars. It's not my Star Wars.
I'm just saying, like, this is, I mean, if they don't do this, they should have hired me and like had me tell them, because
Pablo, take a backseat.
Yeah, take a backseat, Pablo. You don't know what you're doing. You like the new Willow series and everybody else hates it. So
yeah, where's your loyalties lie, friend? Yeah, so we're gonna see with that. There's a lot of really cool things to come with that, but we're gonna have to see what happens, you know. So, with that said, get into our final news piece for the week, and that is a new comic series is coming out, and that is Star Wars Darth Vader Black, White, and Red. Any Tobuscus fans out there, you know, darkness, redness, and whiteness? Hey, it's not the same thing, but, you know, I feel like they're hinting at it, you know, maybe.
Man, that's a callback.
That is a callback.
If you understood that,
if you be
honest, if you understood that, type 111 in the comments.
111. Yeah. So type in Toby Turner. But anyway, no, but for real though, yes, new comic series, and of course Drew's gonna have more with that. But you know, For those of you who've been following the Vader comics in the past, there's two different kind of lines or series, whatever you want to call them, and both of them have been phenomenal. Some of the greatest quotes ever have come from, especially that first series of issues. Which what was it? You're surrounded. No, I'm surrounded by. What is it?
All I am surrounded by is fear and dead men.
Oh, so good.
That's from the Vader Down series.
Such a baller. Yeah. So anyway, my point is that as Drew has stated numerous times in the past, if you're a fan of Star Wars and you're really craving some deeper, awesome Star Wars stuff, comics is ironically
the comics are where it's at.
Or where it's at. So Drew, tell us a little bit more about Black, White, and
some
Red.
of the greatest Star Wars stories being told in the Disney era is without a doubt the comic books.
such a bizarre turn of events, right?
Yeah, which is like not expected, right? And for a lot of people, me being. I've always been a comic reader. It was always like superheroes, Superman,
right.
Spider-Man, stuff like that. But with Star Wars, they've made it actually really important part of their canon universe. Like
Which is really cool. Yeah,
it's not just like we'll just tell like little stories that don't mean anything,
right?
And save the big stuff for the movies. Like I'm telling you, they've really told some big stuff within these comics.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what this is actually an extension of a popular series that Marvel has done in the past. Marvel has actually done this for Wolverine, Deadpool, and Moon Knight, which is what they've called Black, White, and I think theirs they called them Black, White, and Blood. But Star Wars didn't want to call it Blood, so they called it Black, White, and Red, which I thought's kind of funny. But but anyways, so within this, they're doing it's essentially a 4-issue comic anthology that will include stories from different renowned authors and artists. One of those being Jason Aaron, who Jason Aaron did write Vader Down. So he's kind of coming back, and he also wrote the first installment in the very beginning of them restarting Darth Vader comics. Yeah. So he did that as well. So to have him back for something here, I think is really, really exciting. And there'll be some others as well, but he's the one that I really wanted to note there. Yeah. That Jason Aaron will be there, so that's really exciting. And I think. I'm trying to see here if they gave us an official date yet. Doesn't look like they have an official date, but it is. I believe it's planned for later this year. Mm-hmm. So we'll let you guys know when we hear more. But that was announced literally today, on the 12th of January. So very exciting stuff there. So if you're interested in that. Check it out, and again, here's another shout out to it. Like, if you haven't yet, go check them out.
Oh yeah,
go. You can at this point you can get the really big books of all of it. Yeah. Jammed in together, and what do they call those? Omnibus.
Yes,
an omnibus, right? So
interesting word.
You can get the Darth Vader omnibus, and it literally has the entire all the issues in one big book. And so if you're interested in doing this, but you don't want to do it digitally, or you just don't want to go to the comic book store every week and pick up an issue, this is the best way to do it. Or even go to your local library and they may even have it, or you could request it. But it's worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, and as someone who's not I've liked them, but I've never been a huge comic book guy, and mostly for that reason, right? I've never loved just having to go get multiple issues and just Anyway, but as someone who's not a huge comic book guy, I can tell you firsthand that I thoroughly enjoyed both Darth Vader series, and they're great. So if you have any interest in Darth Vader, which most people do, right? They're worth looking into for sure. So that concludes our news, which is the hottest topics up as recently. We're going to get into our rumors. And the number one rumor is that there has kind of been some speculation going around that Dan Hernandez and Benji Samit, or however you say his name, are developing a unannounced project for Lucasfilm. So those of you who may or may not be aware, Dan Hernandez was kind of his most notable thing was writing the Pokemon Detective Pikachu, ironically co-writing with Benji Samit.
They're kind of like a working duo in about every project they do. They do it together. notably Pokemon Detective Pikachu, which I actually really enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
But also probably of more note is Central Park.
Yeah.
Is actually another
one.
So this is interesting because as you said, it's a Lucasfilm project. So the reason I put this in rumors is even though it is pretty much guaranteed they really are working on a project,
right?
It is an unannounced Lucasfilm project. So that means it may not necessarily be Star Wars.
Yeah, true.
But it could be Star Wars.
Yeah, it still could be.
And so, there's really not a whole lot more to say about this other than, just kind of let me put this in here too. We didn't put this in other rumors because I've had, I compile a list of news and rumors, even while we've been away for, like over a month, maybe closer to 2 months. I don't even know. At this point.
It's only been a month.
It's only been a month?
The last one was December 10th, but yeah.
Oh, so it's been just right over a month.
So it's not too bad.
Not too bad. That's not too bad, right?
Come on.
Everybody's like, yeah, you still
get back here.
So even though we've been gone for like a month, I've still compiled stories and rumors since then.
Right.
And so there's a lot of them that I'm not using because I feel like they're just such old news.
Right.
However, there are a couple things I want to note here while we're talking about this. One is that there's still belief that there is going to be a 2025 Star Wars movie, and that in that 2025 Star Wars movie is going to be a female lead, and the reports all say a female lead of color, and so that is supposedly going to be in 2025, and then there's another rumor swirling around, and I've not seen any like trusted source for this, so other than just hearing it from some people, but no one's been able to really source it like where they're hearing it. But is that they're going to officially announce 3 different Star Wars movies at this year's celebration.
Nice. Wow.
So I think it's time. I think it's time to get some word out there on what the next Star Wars movies are going to be. And we do have Star Wars Celebration in April, which unfortunately we will not be attending this year.
Yeah, it's in the UK.
It is in the UK, and I have a son coming in April.
Unfeasible for us, yeah.
It's a good thing I didn't plan because I thought about it. I thought about planning.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing I didn't because then if I had done that and then found out my son was being born in April, that would have been a mess. So
yeah, I just would take your tickets for free. So
yeah,
I would go on your behalf.
You're like, you know what? I will do it for you.
Listen, I know this is a burden for you. I'll take that burden on myself. Just do it.
But no worries. We will still absolutely be reporting on what's going on there and sharing any information that comes out of Celebration to you guys.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of stuff swirling with Disney with movie projects within Star Wars, and I think we're on the precipice of finally getting to hear what some of these are.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is that as many would agree, Disney and Lucasfilm have been relying very, 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 very heavily on their shows, on their TV, on their television projects.
Right.
And like I said, some might agree to a fault, that they're relying on it so heavily that they can't have big budget films that have that more serious note, that serious connotation that tells a bigger, broader story. Again, there's a lot of great stories in television, don't get me wrong, and some that are very, very serious. But what I'm saying, there's just a different feel. There's a different element to a film.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think some people would say this long overdue, I guess is what I'm coming to.
Yeah, and it's, you also have to imagine that TV with like on Disney Plus, the series they do on that can't be as much of a moneymaker as a movie is that does really well in theaters, right?
Right.
I don't really know the differences in that. I know part of a series making its money is keeping subscribers, right, and doing it that way. But when you make a movie, you're getting those movie tickets and everything.
Right.
And that's what where their money comes from. And so I think it'd be interesting to see the differences there. But I imagine the movies make a lot more money in the long run, as long as it does well.
Well, and here's the thing too. Secondarily, things like, well, once a movie is done in the theaters, what happens to it? it goes to streaming. So you're going to still get the same amount of money from the stream. Well, I mean, maybe not as much, but theoretically, just as much money.
But you're going to get
streaming.
a lot of people that are, the people that don't go see it in theaters that are waiting will then watch it streaming. So you still benefit from that.
And if you like it, you're going to watch it again.
And
you know what I'm
still
saying?
have a couple of geezers that are going to buy it on DVD.
Right. On VHS tape, come on. Yeah.
I mean, it always baffles me when I'll walk into like a gas station.
Yeah.
And they're like selling DVDs.
Like, who's still buying these?
Like not Blu-ray.
Yeah, just DVD.
Basic DVDs. I'll see like the newest movies, right? And they'll be sitting there with a DVD.
Yeah.
And I'm like, someone still buys these.
Someone still buys these.
Because they wouldn't do that if, you know what I mean? Like they would not be selling DVDs unless
they don't sell things unless someone's buying
them.
Which is it's actually kind of funny. I was watching like it was either on YouTube or I just saw on social media or whatever, but it was a famous actor saying that like kind of the burgeoning of streaming has actually hurt a lot of actors in terms of their monetary gain, because for a long time they made a bulk of their money when it came out in theaters and people went and watched it, and then he said that there's another boon of money coming in once the DVDs came out and then people start buying the DVDs. But now that's on streaming, no one buys DVDs anymore, and streaming has just kind of this flat rate that like once it's absorbed into it, then whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, and my wife, she makes fun of me sometimes because in the past, like for whatever reason, somebody had like a basic DVD that they wanted to watch, and I'd be like, no, I'm not watching DVD. I refuse to watch a DVD.
Dude, you're so extra.
It's like maybe I guess I'll watch a Blu-ray, but like I'm all about that Ultra 4K Blu-ray. Okay, that's where the real quality's at.
You're so extra, dude. Good grief. So anyway, let's move on.
Let's move on. I know I'm extra, okay?
You're so extra.
Listen, when it comes to visual quality, it's very important to me. Whether it be a movie, a series, I pay for the extra tier on Netflix so I can have 4K, okay?
This is the guy who brings smoked salmon to lunch rather than ramen noodles, I can taste the quality. Anyway.
No, so yeah, that's just one of my things. I don't know. I'm the guy that goes to people's houses and like sets up their TV settings for them. I can't tell you how many people I've done that for.
Yeah,
it's like I want to do it really bad, so I'm like, oh, your TV. Like I'll like make a little like small talk and be like, oh man, that kind of looks a little weird, or that's a little funny looking, and then try hoping that they'll be like, oh, do you want to change it? And then I'm like, yes, please, give it to me.
It's like a psychological issue. So wow.
It's like everybody doing the like soap opera effects on their TVs. They're like, yeah, got
what
me.
Is it? Soap opera. Effect.
Your TV probably has it.
Hey,
it's like. They're like, yeah, I got this new TV and I spent all kinds of money and it's so cool.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
And then and they're like showing it to me and I can tell they're still on like the display what's it called, demo, like they're still on like the demo settings where they peak up all the settings to like 100 so it looks really really sharp and like bright, but it's not actually how you would want to view it.
Right.
Anyways, I'm getting on the whole tangent, but anyways.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But but the soap opera mode is like where they call it all kinds of stuff like true motion and all these things.
And it makes it look like a movie, makes it look like a soap opera.
Yeah, it makes things look weird. It's not the way that you're supposed to watch movies.
I know what you're talking about.
Now, if you want to watch that in like sports or whatever, cool.
Yeah, because
it
keeps up with the
great.
motion.
It's the difference in like frames and stuff.
Yeah,
but
like a frame rate. Yeah,
it's like okay, cool, that's fine. But when you watch it in movies, the directors didn't make movies to work with that.
24 or 30 frames per second is film, and obviously 60 and 60 plus is for like action related things. But yeah, I know what you're talking about because I can't remember. This was like the first time that they've ever tried to do this in a movie. It was like 60 frames per second, and you're like, it just looks weird. Like it doesn't look like a film. It looks like it's like TV or something.
Well. Yeah, so The Hobbit did something weird one time.
I think it was The Hobbit.
And it was kind of messed with your head a little bit because it looked kind of like those do, and it's just not meant to be viewed that way.
It just really.
But that
weird.
for whatever reason, Peter Jackson wanted to mess with it and try that one time.
He's always experimenting.
It was only one. I think it was only one of them. And then they went back to I don't know. So. It's been a while, but anyways.
Well, this is so off topic. Let's just
so
go
off topic. Sorry, everyone. It's been a while.
We haven't had a podcast for a while. Yeah.
So moving on to our final rumor, and actually, was this supposed to be you? Were you supposed to say this one? No.
This is the second one supposed to be you.
Oh, so this isn't our final rumor.
No.
Oh, just kidding. This is only our second rumor.
Yeah.
Rumors on Ubisoft Massive's Star Wars game compare it to No Man's Sky. So we've talked before about how Ubisoft Massive has been working on a Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And they it was going to be heavily based around exploration of the galaxy. But we've not heard a whole lot more about it. But here's what this report has to say. In the game, players will be able to jump between systems, immersing themselves in a vast galaxy bursting at the seams with activities. At the heart of the game sits an in-depth, lengthy story driven by a fully customizable character that walks a path chosen by the gamer. There are decades worth of lore, locations, weapons, and characters for Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment to draw from, so the game itself should be something special. Sure.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've heard these rumors of like where you basically choose your own character and build them, and then you just basically, like No Man's Sky, you can get in your ship and you can jump between systems and go to different planets and stuff. And here's the thing. As a person, and we've discussed this before, as a person who prioritizes in their gaming exploration, open world exploration, and things of that nature, like that definitely appeals to me. Like hopping in between different star systems in the Star Wars galaxy and going to different planets and doing that. Like I love that. But that just seems a little too ambitious in my opinion, because here's the thing with like No Man's Sky, they can kind of get away with that because it's infinite generation, right? And there's no precedence.
But not to cut you off, but to cut you off.
Jerk.
With No Man's Sky, we can't forget that No Man's Sky totally bombed at first.
that too.
It took them years to get it to where it's actually what the original dream of the game was.
Right.
It was not what they said it was going to be when it first came out.
So that supplements my point even further is that there was way more leeway for No Man's Sky, and even then they still bombed. so yeah.
So with this excites me and worries me all at the same time when I read it, because sure, I mean, thinking like, oh, here's the Star Wars galaxy,
go explore it, go do stuff,
go explore it, do whatever you want, make your own path, fly to whatever planet. All that sounds so cool, right? But that's so ambitious.
Like I said, it's just so big. Yeah,
that's so massive to try to do, and it's just like people have tried stuff like this before, and it either one of two things happen: either comes out and it totally bombs because it's not really what they said it was going to be, or they try and it's like so like janky, right? That it doesn't like, you know what I mean? It's
so big it's tripping over itself.
Or it's too ambitious and they just never get it done and they eventually cancel it, and then it's just pushed to the side and they move on, which of course I don't want to see. So
right, exactly.
So the thing that really grips me about this is the in-depth, lengthy story driven by a fully customizable character that walks a path chosen by the gamer. I love that. That sounds like Knights of the Old Republic. Right. I'm all about that side of it. But what worked about Knights of the Old Republic is that, yes, you went to different planets, all these things, but they were very structured.
Yeah.
And yes, it felt kind of like an open world sometimes, but it was still very structured. It was not...
Which, I mean, the technology was like 2 decades ago, too. So, I mean,
Right. And so I think, this sounds to me like they are gaining inspiration from something like Knights of the Old Republic, but then also kind of wanting that No Man's Sky... large,
like this
vast,
freedom
world,
and
that's cool. But the thing is, with a game like that, and let's go even a little farther out and talk about another game that's coming that's promising a lot of these types of things. I lost it. The new
Starfield.
Thank you, Starfield.
Yeah.
Yes. Made by Bethesda, who did Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Right, 2 big, huge hits, big, huge game series that people love.
Right.
Well, this new game they're doing is promising the very big, vast open world that you can explore. I mean, crazy the amount of worlds and stuff it's supposed to have in it.
Yeah.
And again, what worries me about these types of things is like, oh, we're going to have this deep RPG story and all this stuff. But also these worlds are like, computer generated, randomly generated.
Yeah, like the infinite generation type.
Yeah. And I'm just,
thing,
what I've seen from that in my time with video games is I've been met with disappointment with like the kind of like bland.
Exactly.
It's like, sure, it may be a random generated world, but a lot of times like
there's not as much to it.
There's not as much to it, right?
Yeah.
As a crafted world.
Yeah.
Like when a video game makes okay, here's this big open world map, but we set everything in place.
Exactly.
And we've crafted, when you go around this corner,
intention to it.
Yeah, there's going to be this person that has a story over here. Or when you turn this corner, there's going to be this and that. But when it's like, oh, we just randomly generate everything, to me, it's always less meaningful.
Exactly. And there's life to intentional design. You know, with infinite generation, it just feels kind of lifeless. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there for no particular reason.
Right. And the problem is when you do a vast universe for you to travel, they don't have the capabilities, the time, the people to make all of that crafted. So it's one of those, like, what matters more, having all the big worlds to travel or making it a smaller group that has more meaning and purpose to it? And I know my answer for sure.
Right.
But I think, maybe some people would prefer to have more planets, but I don't know. There's a lot about this that's exciting, but worries me. And it also doesn't sound like it's going to come out anytime soon.
No. Yeah.
I mean, Starfield, which has been talked about for years now.
Forever, yeah.
Supposedly is finally coming out this year, which I don't know. I'm still not sure.
Yeah.
I put it on my fantasy league. On my we have a gaming fantasy league, and it's all about like putting in the title games that are going to release this year, and then you get points based off the Metacritic score of the game. Yeah. I put it on mine in faith, hoping that like this game's going to come out and be huge.
Yeah.
But part of me still doesn't believe it's actually going to come out this year. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But man, if this game can do what it's promising, it'll be huge.
It's gonna be crazy.
It'll be for sure. I mean, it'll be one to never forget. But we'll see. But we can move on.
Yeah, we talk about that for a little bit. But our final rumor for the week is that Star Wars Ahsoka, so the show that is coming up, rumors hint that a young Ahsoka is in the world between worlds, which my opinion on that. I'm not a big fan of the world between worlds, as we saw in Star Wars Rebels. But as we saw in Star Wars Rebels, of course, the Ahsoka actually, at least implied, is that she dies with her fight to Darth Vader, and that Ezra Bridger goes between worlds and saves her from that fate, that grisly fate. So I mean, it's going to be interesting, I suppose, in the show, if they do explore that a younger Ahsoka is kind of in this world between worlds and seeing different events. I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm not a big fan of the concept, because it gives way to way too many things, like, oh, we don't like this, so we can just fix it in between worlds, which I will admit, though, Star Wars has handled it gracefully, because they haven't really used it in that way. In fact, we haven't even really seen the world between worlds at all after Rebels, so I don't know. Hopefully there's faith to it.
If this report is true, it's all about to change. No. So this is kind of a crazy one, okay? I mean, this is getting pretty crazy here.
Is this evil clone Yoda territory?
This is very close to evil Yoda territory. However, this is reported by Jason Ward, who has a very good track record on the stuff he talks about. Now even he goes to say in this report that this isn't all super clear just yet, but that what he's hearing, there's some of this is at least pretty accurate. So let me just kind of break it down for you here.
Break it down.
The first thing is, during the production of Star Wars Ahsoka, they've had different code names for Ahsoka depending on the era of the story. And so within that, he has found that they are having Ahsoka at different ages, casted by different actors. within this Ahsoka series. Now, he goes on to say that Rosario Dawson is absolutely the primary Ahsoka you will see in this series, but these are going to be shorter, smaller glimpses, smaller sequences where there will be at least one other character playing a younger Ahsoka.
Interesting.
Now, they did say it's definitely not Ashley Eckstein, because I know some people are going to immediately think that.
Right.
He said, however, he doesn't know it could end up being voiced by Ashley, this younger character.
Yeah, not impossible.
So, but also, we're going to get a glimpse of Ahsoka back in the World Between Worlds. And there's at least 3 versions of Ahsoka we're going to see, primarily. There's going to be Ahsoka, teenage Ahsoka, okay, like Clone Wars Ahsoka.
Right.
Present day Ahsoka within the series, and then the one that we've seen at the end of Star Wars Rebels, where she's in like the white robe,
cloak, yeah.
Which Dave Filoni had suggested that what we saw there took place later than where we've seen Ahsoka and Mando. That's what he has suggested.
Would make sense in terms of her appearance, I suppose, but yeah, it's hard to say.
So, he also goes on to say that Ahsoka will fight Darth Vader within the series.
Yeah, and we know that Hayden Christensen is confirmed for this series. So
correct, and we've talked about how we felt that was probably going to be Force Ghost related,
right?
But this changes things.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, the only way this really happens, fighting Darth Vader, is the World Between Worlds, right?
Right.
Because Darth Vader is dead by the present day in the Ahsoka series. And he said Hayden Christensen required some training for a sequence in the series, because we will see his face again on screen wearing the same costume he wore in Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, interesting.
So here's where things get real interesting.
Yeah.
So, and again, this could potentially be spoilers for this series. So if you if you really don't want to hear any of this, then you can move ahead. But again, we don't really know if this is true or not, but it's just super intriguing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes on to say that we will see many possible outcomes for Ahsoka's life, and how in essence, no matter what, they all lead to a particular moment in her story. So if Ahsoka had returned to the Jedi Order, she would be the one that we see fight Darth Vader on Mustafar, having the high ground, not Obi-Wan.
Okay.
So they're saying that we see that scene where it's going to be her fighting Anakin at El Mustafar.
That's wild.
Instead of Obi-Wan.
That's wild.
Said we're also going to it says he said he can confirm that Hayden Christensen filmed fight scenes with Clone Wars Ahsoka.
Dude,
he says he can
insane.
confirm that. So I don't know how he confirmed it, but
yeah, I mean, because one could say like, oh well, maybe it's them sparring, or maybe it's like this weird alternate thing in the World Between Worlds or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it could lend itself to the fact that she replaces Obi-Wan, which is so weird though. It's so weird. But
yeah, and then it says Ahsoka will see other things in these sequences, including had Ahsoka killed Thrawn, and Ezra Bridger did not need to use the space whales. Yeah, Ahsoka's destiny remained the same. So basically, the lesson that she learns through all of this is no matter what she tried to change,
still led up to this point.
It still leads to where she is in this present day, which we don't necessarily know where she's going to be or why she wants to change it so bad at this point.
Sure.
But whatever it is, she'll learn through the World Between Worlds that it doesn't matter, and it all still leads to the same.
That's actually kind of interesting.
So it could be really cool.
Yeah.
It could be done really cool because she could, because she's only alive because of the World Between Worlds.
And so she's fully aware of what it is and what it can do.
Exactly.
Right?
So she may be trying to access it again to change things.
Sure.
Maybe it's the guilt of Anakin. Sure. Maybe that's the main primary force, and she's thinking,
after coming across Luke and stuff like that.
And maybe she's thinking, and maybe she's thinking she can go back and stop that, and that would change everything, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so maybe that's what she's trying to do. And so she essentially sees that.
Right.
But then we'll see how it doesn't change. And instead, she cuts off Anakin's legs and instead of Obi-Wan, but it doesn't matter. It all leads to the same point.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty crazy concept. I mean, if that's what they go with, I mean, here's the thing. If they use the world between worlds in that context, not where they're actually going back and changing things, but like, hey, this is what it could look like if it did happen, I could get behind that. I think that would be a pretty interesting what if scenario that's actually canon, not canon. You know what I'm saying? However you want to consider that, right? But anyway.
Well, and another thing is suggesting that these things that we're seeing, this moment where she's trying to do all this, happens before where we see her in like the Book of Mandalorian with Luke Skywalker.
Huh.
So, according to this report, by that point she's already done this stuff, and that's why she's kind of at peace. When she talks and stuff,
right?
Like, she seems pretty okay with what had happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
very
interesting stuff there.
Very
a lot to think about, unpack there.
Oh yeah.
And I think there maybe is some credit to at least some of this, because we've seen in the marketing for Ahsoka so far, it does kind of give world between world vibes.
Yeah, that is true, and I've seen like some of the posters and stuff, like the designs and stuff.
Yeah, the designs definitely kind of.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. It's just anytime you involve the world between worlds, it's a little dicey. However, unless you can't change the past, and maybe that's but they kind of did when they saved Ahsoka, right? So that's where they'll have to answer that.
But I think they
were
making that standard as they went. Like, I don't know that they necessarily, like, it was within the same series, within the same season type thing. So it wasn't like some. Well, it's not like I peaked there, but it wasn't like some like well-established event that they finally went back and changed. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden it was her instead of Obi-Wan. I don't think they're going to end up doing that, and they have not set that precedent.
No, I don't think they're going. I mean, they better not do that.
Yeah,
that's a little too far.
Yeah.
I think they're going to show us.
No, I'm saying create that as that is the new canon. Right. They changed that event in canon.
I'm hoping that she sees all these things, but she doesn't actually follow through with any of it, so that what we know remains the same. Exactly. Now, if they want to change things a little bit to where we can get a new future for the sequels, then
and Dave Filoni is going to use the world between worlds to change the sequels.
I mean, if they want to go that direction, I might listen to what they can come up with.
Bend my ear a little bit. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, we can keep harping on that all day, but that goes ahead and ends our rumor section. Wait, sorry, what are we doing over here? It ends our rumor section for the week. So if you guys hear anything or are interested to discuss what you have heard, please let us know in the comments. But let's go ahead and move on to our releases for the week.
Yes, and our releases for this week are we got some new comics coming up on the 18th. We have Hyperspace Stories issue number 4, Han Solo and Chewbacca issue number 9, and Bounty Hunters issue number 30. All of those on January 18th. Also on January 18th will be the 4th episode of The Bad Batch. So lots of stuff for you there. And I did want to mention that I have read all of the books for the High Republic Wave 1 of Phase 2. And so I think last time we talked, I couldn't really pinpoint the purpose of these books so far. I'm like, and how they connect, or which one's the most important one to read, etc. And they've done an interesting thing, because the young adult novel had some connections to things that we know from the first phase. It had some interesting things in there, but I wouldn't say it was a must read. And then the adult novel, I actually found the novel to be pretty good, but I don't think it was a must read whatsoever for those who are hoping it connected to phase 1.
Sure.
I would say little to no connection, actually. So far.
Very interesting.
And maybe they're going to tie it back somehow. But what's really weird is the Battle of Jeddah, which is the audio novel, it's a fully scripted. So it's not like just your typical. They have a certain word for it. I can't remember. It's not your typical audiobook. It's like it has like all the sounds and it's a script instead of
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Like they actually, it's made for
it's
audio.
Kind of like Dooku. Was it Dooku?
Jedi
Lost?
Like Dooku Jedi Lost, and I think they did one for Dr. Aphra.
Yeah. More of like an audio show almost.
Yeah. And so that has came out, and I haven't read it yet. But what I have learned, or I haven't listened to it yet, I guess. I'm not huge on audiobooks, so I'm really not looking forward to it. But what I have learned is that all 3 books tie into the audiobook. So the audiobook is kind of like what the adult books were for Phase 1.
Huh.
Which is very strange to me.
That's a very odd choice.
Very, very odd, because it's like, okay, so people may have read the other books, so why all of a sudden are you forcing them into doing the audiobook to see where it goes next? Now, they are going to release a script for it like next month, but it's like, well, I don't know. It's just, why didn't you just make this a book like the other ones? It's weird.
Like if you wanted to make the audiobook thing as like a supplementary thing, sure. You know what I'm saying?
But making it be like, oh, all of these books actually tie into this. So obviously,
it's really weird.
I kind of need to listen to it.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that decision. And all I can say is Phase 3 better not do that. I will be very upset if the big moments of Phase 3 are in an audiobook. I'm just saying it now. I will be very upset.
I understand.
So that's my thoughts on it so far. I'll update you guys as Phase 2 continues.
Yeah. So January 18th is a big day. A lot of stuff coming out on that day. So if you're interested in the books and things of that nature, or excuse me, the comic, should I say, keep your eyes and ears out for that time. But we're going to go ahead and move into our second to last segment here, and that is our community discussion, where we like to go out before we do an episode and we ask our fans and our community at least one question and talk about and discuss your answers on air. So, pardon me. So this week's community discussion, and we've already talked about it obviously to some degree, but as we have come into the new year, there are tons of Star Wars releases slated for 2023. So what release, whether it be a show, a game, or etc., what are you most excited for? And we had quite a few answers, so we greatly appreciate you guys' participation this week.
Yeah, we can tell you guys must have missed us, because you guys all came out in
or maybe
really...
maybe that, or it's just an actual fun thing to answer instead of the other ones. I don't know, whatever. I worked so hard to come up with these questions. But JB himself comes in with our very first comment, and he says, it goes without saying, Happy New Year to you guys and your respective others.
Oh, thanks, JB.
JB, thank you very much. Happy New Year's to you guys
Always
as well.
such a kind gentleman.
He's such a gentleman.
JB.
He's got that English sensibility.
No wonder he's engaged.
Exactly. But now to business, as he says. Obviously, I want KOTOR remake. However, I'm most excited for Jedi Survivor. Who am I kidding? I'm excited for it all. Mando Season 3 is also getting me hyped, so this year I am 9 years old again, haha. Looking forward to see what they will do with the High Republic, and I should note I have been replaying KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2. Looking forward to listening to the next podcast, guys. JB, always warms our heart. Thank you, sir.
We love you, JB. But I have bad news for you, though.
Yeah, that KOTOR remake is not happening.
It's not happening in 2023.
Yeah. If it even does happen, which,
I really hate to burst your bubble there, but I just don't want you to get your hopes up. But that game, there's no way that game's coming this year, unfortunately. So,
trust me, we want it too. Don't get us wrong.
There's not much more in Star Wars I want right now more than a KOTOR remake. Like, I'm all in.
Right.
I absolutely love the idea. Right. What I've heard of what they're doing with the game, I'm all about it. But from everything I've heard report-wise on it, and the fact that we've not seen a lick of it yet, tells me, unfortunately, this is probably not coming this year. So.
Yeah. Like, so we have I don't remember which episode it was. It was a couple back, or a few back, should I say, where we discussed the whole issue of what happened to it. And you can go back and listen to that. But after our discussion, it's clear that there's some issues there.
There's some issues.
But JB, thank you for that comment. Corey Allen Wise says, The Acolyte, I'm most excited for, and also The Mandalorian. Jay Camdar says, tie between Ahsoka and Jedi Survivor. Chad Robinson says, definitely The Ahsoka Show. Alex Mason says, Mando, Ahsoka, and The Acolyte. Kelby Smith says, I'm really pumped about Jedi Eternal, a Star Wars podcast. Kelby, again, warming our heart over here.
You win $100 for the correct answer. No, I'm just kidding. You don't win.
hey, Kelby will PayPal you that $10.
But that is the correct answer. Congratulations.
But other than that, I guess I'm looking forward to Ahsoka. And then Brandon Duke says The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. I think it's going to bridge and piece together a lot of missing information. So, of course, all great answers. And I don't know that I have an exactly like my number one thing, you know. I think I am very, very excited, or not think, I know that I'm very, very excited for Ahsoka. And the more we talk about it, the more cool things that come out for it. It's the next really big show, you know, in my opinion, that's going to come out and be about a character that we all love. So I'm excited for that. The Acolyte is very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people there saying the Acolyte, and of course, I'm super excited for the Acolyte too.
Yeah.
But again, I do not see the Acolyte coming out this year.
Yeah, I know. We kind of discussed it a little bit before, but it's a possibility, but it's going to be hard for them.
There is a possibility. However, in the slated titles that they showed so far for this year, it was not on that list.
True.
And so... now, yes, we have finally seen the beginnings of like production photos, and we saw a couple photos of them in costume and stuff. So that's like a good sign.
Right.
But I would say if we get this at the latest, we're getting it in the winter of this year.
I mean, earliest.
Or at the earliest. But, you know, if Skeleton Crew's already being pushed back out of that.
And that's what I was going to say, yeah.
That tells me Acolyte's probably not coming until next year. I hate to be bursting your bubbles today.
Dude, you're such a jerk, man. Talking about
I hope
subpar video qualities,
honestly,
and now you're bursting everybody's bubble.
I hope I'm wrong. Like I hope so much that I am wrong on both of those accounts.
Yeah.
That if I get the Acolyte and the KOTOR remake this year, I'll be the happiest. I'll be the happiest kid alive.
Little wee schoolboy, you know.
But I would be beyond shocked. To see
yeah. Well, and we talked about that before too. Is that, you know, there's a lot of stuff slated for this year, and like we said, we're like just genuinely so surprised that this many things are coming out this year at the same, you know, in the similar times and stuff. So we'll see what ends up happening. But of course, like I said, Jedi Survivor, of course, is another huge one. I loved the first game, and I'm excited to see how they evolve that gameplay and that story play and stuff. So yeah, very, very excited for that.
Yeah. I think for me, when I think about it, I would say the top of my list right now in excitement would be Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I think that's top of my list as far as what we know is coming this year. First of all, because we've all grown to love Ahsoka throughout the years, but also I think there's just a lot of potential for what we can see.
Yeah.
A lot of really cool, like, magical moments could happen within that series. And then, you know, of course, I'm excited for Mando season 3.
Yeah.
Naturally. You know, it may be a little more like old news to us at this point because, you know, we already had 2 seasons, but I'm still super stoked for it, and I expect it will be fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited to see where the story goes from where we left off for sure.
Yeah, and then, you know, I am very excited for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm a huge video game player, so there's, you know,
he's a big gamer.
I'm a big gamer.
He's a gamer.
Give me a bag of Doritos and some Mountain Dew.
Because I'm a gamer. Anyway,
anybody want to pass me some V-Bucks so I can crank some 90s?
Dude, where's my double XP weekend at?
What skins do you have, bro? I really want that battle pass.
Fortnite battle pass.
Anyways, so so I'm super excited about Jedi Survivor, and it looks fantastic from what we've seen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm really excited for that. I'll probably spend a ton of time playing it.
Sure.
But and again, I am if there was a guaranteed release date for the Acolyte in 2023, Acolyte would be my number 1.
Yeah,
but I just don't think it actually comes out.
Yeah. I trust me. I know what you mean. But I do think that JB has one of the better answers, and that is he's excited for it all. And I agree.
I mean, yeah, exactly. To some extent, I am.
It wasn't the question, but you know. Just kidding. No, but I'm just like, no, but for real though, it's like, I know, we kind of like say, what's your favorite stuff, but there is so many good things coming out this year to look forward to.
And again, the rest of the High Republic Phase 2 and the beginning of Phase 3 is coming this year too.
Exactly.
And, so I'll be all about that. There's a lot of stuff. It's going to be a big year for Star Wars. So.
Big year indeed. So let's go ahead and get into our final topic, and that is our main topic, and that is the spoiler discussion and review of Bad Batch Season 2, episodes 1 through 3, because we kind of didn't get to an episode last week. But so let's just go ahead and dive into it. Like I said, just full-on spoiler alert here, as we always do when we review things. And so what's very interesting about Season 2 of Bad Batch is that it actually had a dual premiere, meaning that it had 2 episodes that dropped during the premiere, and that is Episode 1, Spoils of War, and Episode 2, Ruins of War. And, we're probably going to get more deeper into it. But kind of as a synopsis, we're kind of just diving back into Bad Batch. And really, in my opinion, these 2 episodes, instead of really furthering the story or really diving into cool topics, it's really more just after all this time trying to reacquaint us with the characters, right? Reacquaint us with who they are, what their standing is after the first season, and just to see where they're at. And we do see that. Of course, we have the main crew, other than Crosshair, and they're accepting another mission, another heist type thing, it's kind of like business as usual. And but what's very interesting is what the mission is about and where they go. And like I said, we're gonna get more into it. But the biggest cool thing right off the bat is that they are going after a very valuable war chest that was Count Dooku's in his home planet of Sereno. So very, very cool. Maybe not tons of huge, lore building things or whatever, but cool callbacks to what we know in the Clone Wars and things of that nature.
Yeah, you're being way too nice about this right now. These episodes were horrible.
Listen, I dogged on so many things the past several episodes. I just gotta.
You were being way too nice. These 2 episodes were a drag. The first 2 episodes, I just kept like staring off into space while trying to watch these. Me and Braxton sat down together to watch them, and we were doing other stuff the whole time.
Yeah,
we
I have to admit, that is true.
Talking about other things
because
we were so just bleh. And listen, I just don't like. I guess I can just be the bad guy here. Okay,
sure. I was the bad guy in Andor.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So I'll be the bad guy this time. The Bad Batch, they're not any good.
More like the bad butts.
It's like maybe the Bad Batch is fitting because they're just bad characters. Okay, they're one bad batch of characters.
Batch of characters.
It's such a drag. Seriously, I can't stand their voices, and I like D. Bradley Baker. I like his clone voices. I do.
Know.
But it's like the Bad Batch, he's so over the top.
Well, the problem is he's one voice actor. Trying to do multiple that are all the same but different.
Right. So I get what he's trying to do, but it just annoys me to death.
Yeah.
I would rather them have just been like, well, they're unique enough that they're voiced by different people or something.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, because it's just... Ugh.
Plus, let it be said here that Andrew hates Kiwis. He hates New Zealanders and their accent.
I have never said that.
Yeah, but, he did. He said he hated Omega's voice.
I do hate Omega's voice.
I said, well, what do you hate about it? He's like, I don't know, just how he sounds. I'm like, that's called like New Zealand accent.
No, it's just her in general. I don't like the way she sounds whatsoever. No, but I like D. Bradley Baker's. I like his.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Anyway. Just his regular clone voice is great. I like it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so this is I don't like any of them.
Yeah.
And so
no, don't get me wrong. The first 2 episodes, I just remember coming out of it. I'm just thinking like, oh my gosh, seriously? Like they're doing this again, where they're just like, this is like the first premiere of the new season, and they're gonna do the worst parts of season 1.
Well, and there was this. I saw this like ray of hope. Of sunshine when they said they were going to Sereno and they were going to Dooku's
so cool,
where Dooku had placed all of his war loot, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And he had these big war chests full of stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be really cool. We're gonna get all kinds of cool callbacks and different things. No, we don't get any of that. We don't get a single anything there. I thought maybe we'd see some of Dooku's stuff, or even just get some kind of interesting like
maybe some like cool loot from when they went and sacked
or even just if you were to see
Dathomir.
like where Dooku, like you see a room that was like Dooku's, and you might just there's some kind of interesting piece of history there based on Dooku. You know what I mean? There's
just so much cool tie back to the characters.
Even if they would have had Dooku's pajamas laid on the chair.
I mean, something.
You remember, how they always teased about Dooku's pajamas, the outfit he wore? Maybe they had that laying on a chair, or like laying on the bedside.
His silk pajamas,
just something. But there was nothing like that.
Like a beard trimming kid or something.
It was completely missed opportunity, and it just ended up being just another the silly Bad Batch, and they went off to do a mission. They get themselves in trouble. Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I do
throw up in my mouth.
Wow, coming back with the tenacity, folks. No, I mean, seriously, just looking at it from both sides, I do see what they tried to do. They tried to come back in and just kind of reacquaint you with the team, reacquaint you with all the characters. But here's the thing: although I understand where they went with it, or why they went with it, they failed because we already know who the characters are. We could go rewatch season 1, which I'm sure a lot of people did. You're coming back. You're not just all of a sudden being reintroduced to all these characters after years and years and years of absence. No, I mean, it was only a year and a half or 2 years or whatever max. So my point is that the worst, biggest complaints about season 1 is that it was a drag. There was no point to it. It was just the silly Bad Batch on another silly mission. And it's like, really, that's how you choose to do your premiere? So, but here's the thing. I'll give them kudos. Like I said, they wish they did more with it, but I will give them kudos is that they did do cool callbacks to some degree of going to Sereno, going, to Count Dooku's lair, and different stuff like that.
Yeah, but they didn't do anything with it, so it didn't matter.
Well, I appreciate the attempt. I just wish you did more with it. So really, all in all, and this is, I hate to say it, all in all, that is episode 1 and 2. Basically, they go to Sereno, they get the war chest, they lose the war chest multiple times, mostly because of Omega. And then basically...
Yeah, well, in typical Omega, she never listens, right?
Naturally.
They tell her to do something, and she'll always do the opposite, which she did the first season, and she continues to do it here.
The funny thing is that there was supposed... you could tell that there's an attempt that there was supposed to be, this progression with her, and they really never nailed that down. She's still just a really childish child who does whatever she wants to do.
Yeah, they definitely wanted you to feel like, oh, she's progressed, and, maybe in her, combat... Yeah, I guess
because they're on the beach, you know what I'm saying, and they're shooting the arrows. or whatever.
Yeah, and she has that. It's a cool weapon she has and all of that, but as far as it being part of the team, I feel like she just keeps still messing things up for them. And then one of them even point out that we're on the run because of her.
Yeah,
and which then she's like,
oh, it's all because of me. I changed your life for the worse. And
and
you did.
It's like, well, you kind of did,
yeah.
And you still kind of are because you never listened to them.
Yeah. So that was kind of episode 1 and 2, and so basically, ultimately, they don't get the loot. They have to leave it, and then and so again, kind of what did that amount up to? Because here's the thing, right? In season 2 of Mandalorian, episode 1. It had nothing, no bearings to the story. There was no ties to anything, no progression of furtherance. But guess what? It was a kick-butt awesome episode where we get to see the crate dragon and all that stuff.
Oh, I love that episode.
It was so amazing. But guess what? It had no ties to the story. But that's how you do it. If you want to get reacquainted to the characters but have not a ton of story up front, just so you can get again, reacquainted with the characters, do epic bombastic things, and have really cool callbacks to previous stuff that's kind of fan service. Do that. And then, like I said, I feel like there was an attempt to do that for season 2 of Bad Batch, but they just didn't nail it. But on a higher note, a better note, episode 3, which just aired yesterday, and for those of you who are listening, 3 days ago, episode 3, The Solitary Clone, which in my opinion was a much better episode.
This episode was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
Now it has changed everything.
Yeah.
And I made sure not to mention this episode yet. I wanted to get my complaints with one out of the way
first. Yeah.
But first of all, just right off the bat, what's the difference between this episode and the 2 prior episodes? Can you tell me?
No Omega.
What's the biggest? None of the Bad Batch. Unless you consider
Crosshair,
unless you consider Crosshair still part of the Bad Batch, but he's sort of not, right?
Yeah.
But the main Bad Batch crew makes zero appearance in this, and it's way better because of it. Yeah. And so, what's that tell you?
Silly antics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this whole episode was way more serious and more heartfelt, and
this episode blew my mind how good it was. Okay, so, like this felt along like the tone that we got in the Tales of the Jedi series. We were watching those with Dooku and stuff, and the dark, mature feeling of it, but like really getting some good story in there. Like this felt like that.
Sure.
Or even like the first. I think it was the first Ahsoka. No, not the first one, because the first one was the baby when she was a baby. Second Ahsoka one when she goes to Padme's funeral.
Oh yeah.
When she's there in Coruscant and stuff, and it's real dark, and I had a lot of those vibes within this episode here, where we're on Coruscant with these Imperials and with some notable characters that we're going to get into. But something that was really cool about this one is where we start off.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have something you were going to say?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Going to Desix, which is a former Separatist planet.
Yeah.
And so the Imperials, they go and land there, basically they're saying, this is ours now, give it all up.
And this is a really cool kind of look also. I'll say this, is that it's a really cool look into like that first transition of power for the Empire,
right? And
trying to convince worlds to basically, hey, give up your power because we're the Empire and now we want it,
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And so the governess of the planet there, she's basically says no.
Yeah.
And then what's cool, all the battle droids come out.
Oh yeah.
And you get all the battle droids from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Which was a nice, that was more like I was expecting some of that kind of like familiarity to the first 2 episodes because they were going to Sereno, and I was expecting some stuff that we would like pinpoint, like, oh, look at that.
Oh yeah,
there's nothing like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so yeah, and obviously, and that's how you should. And this is just my opinion, which is right. I'm just kidding. But in just my opinion. But this is how you should do humor. It's like when it's not the main dish, it's a side dish, right? It's not the main course. It's something that is supplementary. And that's how they do it. Like, this is a very dark, serious episode, but then they add in some of the droids, the battle droids, which are always goofy and stupid, and they make little quips and stuff. And that's how you do it. It never felt like it was overdone in this episode. It felt pretty evened out, and with the seriousness versus the kind of humor of those droids. But we're also used to the droids' humor now too. That's true.
It used to rub me the wrong way a little bit when they first, especially in like early Clone Wars.
Yeah, which I think it was a little rich then too, though.
Yeah, and they did still do some silly stuff, but now you're just like, oh, you silly battle droid,
you little boy, you crazy man.
And part of that's just because we're used to it at this point.
Yeah.
But so from
crazy
there
antics.
we cut to Coruscant where we see Crosshair.
Well, so and so I'll let you get to that, but I was just say, we were talking about how you tie in very cool things in the past. So they did it with the battle droids and things like that. But there's a very big thing this episode that they tied in the past, and go ahead.
Yeah. So, they bring in Commander Cody.
Very interesting.
Super exciting for me personally.
Oh yeah.
Because this is since 2005.
Yeah.
After Revenge of the Sith,
right.
and you see Commander Cody, essentially Obi-Wan's, he's like his second in command,
right?
And you see him turn on him and try to shoot him, and then you get the Clone Wars, and you see more of Commander Cody, and you see their bond, their friendship, but we never find out what happened to Commander Cody. What did he do? What?
Right.
I mean, did he ever regret what he did?
He was really willing on the spot to just like this guy, this commander, that general that he had, that just immediately turned on him. But what was the fallout of that decision?
The fallout of that? Yeah,
right?
and knowing not only was he, second command to a Jedi, but he was second in command to Obi-Wan Kenobi, who
one of the best Jedi.
Yeah. If there was anyone that it would have been hard to question their loyalties, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
Exactly.
I mean, he was so loyal and so good. And so so these were always questions we had. So, we're here with Crosshair, and when we find out he was left for dead for like 32 days after the destruction of Camino in the last season. And so, he's having a meeting with I think his name's Rampart. And he's like,
so.
Why'd you come back?
Yeah.
And Crosshair is like,
well, first of all, which is very interesting, right? Up to this point, as was demonstrated in the final episode of season 1, was that Crosshair was loyal to the Empire. He had his chip removed, and he was still loyal.
He's still
loyal. So basically at the end of season 1, they're telling him like they don't care for you. And he starts to see it a little bit here and there, because when they said the fire on something city, I can't start with a T. I can't think. I'm talking about, right? The cloning city. Anyway,
Camino.
Well, yeah, the city though, it starts with a T. It doesn't matter. But anyway, he's like, they know he's there, and he's still loyal to them. But they say fire on the city and destroy it all, and so that's one little thing there. But long story short, what's interesting is they get this, episode 3, and they finally get him back from that city, and basically that's what he's saying, right? Like Rampart, he's like how, like almost like making fun of him, like how long were you there? And he's like 36 rotations or 32 rotations, and he's like basically a month, right? Yeah. And he's like, basically like it's funny. And he's like, you're basically lost to the Empire. Why come back? And you can see that little degradation of like, wow, like my loyalty is not rewarded. It is not prized here, But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so he tells Crosshair that he is going on a new mission, and that they're going to be going after the people on that planet who are resisting, and he's going to be led by no other than Commander Cody.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to say it. Tipoca City. That's what it's called. It's just bothering me so bad.
And so he is whoa, what just happened?
Whoa.
My web page just went away. So he's talking to Cody, and they're talking about the rest of the Bad Batch going rogue, and Cody's response is like, well, there's actually several clones who have gone rogue, and
what's interesting is how he was talking. It was almost like gauging what Crosshair's thoughts was on the matter, type of thing, like cautiously, like I wonder what he thinks about this,
And so, they go on this mission, and this feels, so much of this feels like it is a Clone Wars episode. Yeah. And we get a lot of cool action here. You have the droids back, and just like it was all really well done, and even like Crosshair's sniping he was doing in this was really really crazy
cool
stuff. It was really cool.
Dude, the tank scene was so good.
Yeah.
That was like really
and then
good.
like when they're going through the spiral stairway, and he's throwing like the little like mirror pucks, and then he's shooting, so it like shoots around the corner.
Very cool.
Really cool stuff there. And so it just felt really cool, and it was cool to have Commander Cody there. But what we see is they get up to they have this whole fight, and they get up to the top where the governess is, and basically the dude has what was his name?
Who?
The guy that the governess captured.
Oh, the Empire's like imposing governor. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but yeah.
But anyways, she has him, or he has her, like with a gun to her head. And this is where it's really interesting, because Commander Cody, he pauses, he puts his gun down,
yeah,
and he's like, "We both lived through one war. not start.
Like, I'm looking for peace. You know, like we don't want bloodshed.
And
you know?
yeah, and he's like, we want peace. Let's not do this again. Let's put the guns down.
Yeah, and he
really
makes a
interesting
point.
moment.
Yeah, and he makes a point that like the Empire is here to bring peace to the galaxy.
Right.
Like, that's his thought. Like that's what his final, in my opinion, like his final thread of like that's what he's hanging on to. Is the Empire's here for peace. You know.
And so he does that, and she's like, okay, and she lets him go, and he immediately is like, execute her.
Yeah.
And Commander Cody's like, I literally just told her we're gonna be.
And she's like, so much
peaceful.
for peace.
Yeah, and so you can tell he's kind of basically you can see like he's not gonna do it.
Right.
Commander Cody's not gonna do it. And all of a sudden you hear the shot.
Yeah.
And you look over and Crosshair did it. Crosshair shot her.
Dog, get it out.
So it goes to show that like Crosshair is truly just a bad dude. Like
he doesn't care. Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Like he you know, there were times where I've thought Crosshair is definitely gonna come back, but now
like he's really cementing himself into his evil position.
Even if he does, it's gonna be one of those situations where like he can't live. He's gonna have to like sacrifice himself.
Right.
He's done too much at this point to just come back.
The only way he's gonna redeem himself is sacrificing his life.
It's gonna be like a Kylo Ren situation, you know,
or Anakin situation.
Well, yeah, I guess a Anakin, yeah, even better.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting to see, and you really see that clearly Commander Cody has questioned a lot of this, right? And questioned, is he doing the right thing? And so they go back to Coruscant, and Cody and Crosshair are talking, and he asked whether they're truly making the galaxy a better place.
Yeah, it's like, do you think that this mission, like, did we leave it a better place than we found it?
And basically, Crosshair is just a soldier following orders.
I don't care. Yeah.
And clearly from what we see, Cody feels differently.
Yeah. Well, so what's cool is like he says like what makes it. He's like, Crosshair, tell me what makes us different than the battle droids. And he's like, is that we make our own choices. And he like pauses and says, and we have to live with them as well. That's such a good line. Yeah.
And so, again, I think this was I think in this encounter we have here, I think Commander Cody's already made up his mind that he's done. And I think he was hoping to have Crosshair kind of be in the same headspace with him.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe like take him, with him, but in his answers he wasn't. And you could tell in those like that was when they had that conversation. Commander Cody was like, okay, he's like,
there's no hope. Gone. Yeah.
And so the next day, it shows Crosshair kind of going through his normal routine again. He just wakes up in this like cold, empty room and goes and gets his food, and apparently gets called in to the principal every day after when he tries to eat lunch, because that's what happens.
Like every time he's eating lunch.
Yeah, every time he's sitting there, it looks like he like just sits down, has his food, and then he gets called to
2337 to the grand whatever's office.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that they showed it happen like that again. It was just funny. But
it just kind of reaffirms like the Empire does not care about you. The Empire does not care about you. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And so, he goes and he says, "Oh, we have another mission for you, and this time he'll be joined by, blah 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 numbers." And he goes, "Why not Commander Cody?" He goes, "Commander Cody?"
Yeah.
And he's like, CC or CT, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," he goes, "Well, he's gone AWOL."
Huh? Yeah.
And so I want to first of all, before we go any farther, I want to see how you took that. Did you take that as,
I know where you're going with this.
Did he truly like run away in the middle of the night, or did they kill him?
Or did they like, he went AWOL, but they executed him in the night, behind the woodshed type thing?
Yeah. Because the way he said it and the way he kind of smirked.
Yes. Yeah. It gave off that aura. But I feel
like it gave off that aura, but at the same time,
Cody's a big enough character.
I feel like that would be a really waste of the character to bring him back like this finally, and for him to just disappear and actually be because he's dead. But I think if they were going to kill him, they would have showed it happen, because I think at least that way it's a little more like impactful, other than it just be Well, what are you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, but here's the thing: I could see them doing that though, and it's so stark, like it catches you off guard because it shows you that even like this bigger character, he's not big enough that he's like a main character, but he's big enough that he's significant, and it just shows that his blind loyalty to the Empire, that's what he that's what came to him because of it. Is that he gets executed in the night, and like there's no mention of him. Like I don't know how to explain it super well, but it's like they did it as it's almost like dunking your head in cold water or ripping the Band-Aid off, so to speak. Because like you're like, what? Wait, what? You know what I'm saying? Like leaving you and like, are you serious? He died, but at the same time, like it's kind of to show you the depravity of the Empire. Even further, and show you like this person who had blind loyalty to them is now, although they should be deserving of a much better death or a much better life, obviously, is just being executed in the night with no true announcement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. I don't want it to happen, but I could see that happening.
Yeah, and you know, I'm like 80% positive that it's implying he really did go AWOL and he's out there somewhere, and we're probably going to see more of him.
Because what I want to see him make amends with Kenobi to some degree.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
And that's one thing I would like. I would love to see an encounter between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi,
right?
Just at least one time, and I don't really think the Bad Batch series is where that would even happen.
Right, yeah.
But really, the most likely place would have been in the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
They even had what's the clone actor's name? Tamira Morrison.
Tamira Morrison, yeah.
They even had Tamira Morrison in it.
They could have done something.
So they could have done it, but
yeah.
They chose not to. So
dirty dogs.
I feel like that would have been the most likely place.
Right.
So now that that's done and over, I don't know. But yeah, I would love to see that. But also, you know, I could see him potentially meeting up with the Bad Batch at some point.
That would be cool.
Or even Rex, you know, he
reaching
could be with Rex.
Him. Yeah.
We know by the time of Rebels, Cody's not with Rex and his little group of clones. So, you know, I don't know. I hope there's more of him, but also there's this weird, like, dark, depressing, like, but also kind of impactful if he truly was like, you find out he questioned it and they knew, and so they killed him, and there was
again with no announcement, nothing. That's just how the Empire is.
How the Empire is. There's something powerful about that.
That's what I was trying to get to earlier.
But I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't want it to happen.
So, and there was a quote that Cody says that really stood out to me. I was trying to find it because I really wanted to read off what he said.
The quote was, Roger. It moved me to tears.
No, that's not it. It was something he said in that last conversation they had, and it was meaningful to me because I felt like it was actually talking. He was telling Crosshair, but I felt like he was more talking about himself with Obi-Wan Kenobi more than anything.
Was it what I said earlier? Like,
did you?
Like, what's the difference between us and droids is that we have to make our own choices, and then we have to live with them as well.
Yeah. I was part of that.
He may say something after that too. Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah, you basically said it. But yeah, I mean, because he's saying, basically, to me, I think in his head, he was thinking, you know, I made the choice to shoot Obi-Wan, but it's haunted me ever since.
Yeah, I've had to live with that every day.
He's like, I've had to live with the fact that I chose to shoot at him because I was told he was a traitor.
Yeah.
But now that I see what the Empire is, I know he wasn't the traitor.
Right.
Right. I was the traitor, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's pretty
crazy.
deep.
That's
pretty
very
deep stuff, you know?
And like I said,
really
that's
powerful stuff.
That's what I want to see in these animated shows. I want that to be that depth. And there has been, don't get me wrong, in like Clone Wars and stuff. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I want to continue seeing that as a trait in these animated shows.
Yeah.
You know?
So what I will say to kind of start wrapping this up to you guys is, if you don't watch The Bad Batch, there's actually, I think this would be one to watch. If you're ever going to watch a Bad Batch episode, there's enough here. If you're just a fan of the prequels or even Clone Wars, I think there's something for you here. even if you don't watch all the Bad Batch. You can skip the first 2 episodes.
Frankly, you really can.
Forget that trash. Just watch this 3rd episode.
Yeah, it kind of stinks. But it is a pretty funny juxtaposition of how different those episodes are.
Yeah, it's crazy. This episode is called The Solitary Clone. Otherwise known as Return of the King.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want to call
You're
it.
so clever about that. It's so
like
clever.
It's like I came up with that on my own.
Yeah, I can only imagine that mind of yours work at 24/7, cranking stuff out like that. You should post that to Twitter.
Post that on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, So, anyways, I give this one very high praise. I hope we get more like this in the rest of the Bad Batch, but
I hope so too.
I don't plan to get a lot like this, yeah. But hey, maybe I'll be wrong.
Yeah, who knows?
But this was a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed it. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Not necessarily, no. Like I said, just excited to see where they go with this, and hopefully that same tone stays throughout.
All right, well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us. We know it had been a while, but we are glad to be back. Hopefully we'll be back to a little bit more of a consistent schedule. Stay tuned to our Facebook for announcement for when we're going to do our 3-year live stream. We'll try to get something, a date figured out on that and a time so we can let you guys know, so you guys can hang out with us. We'll just have some fun, but also maybe have a new announcement or so, or 2. We'll see. But we would definitely want you guys to be a part of that, so we'll let you know. But make sure you like us on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, I guess. There's also really. No, you don't have to do that. And even TikTok. We were even on there. We have some of our gaming videos on there. Maybe we'll finally get back to Let's Plays. We'll see. Who knows?
I mean, you guys said you didn't really want it, but
I mean, we still have lots of Lego Star Wars to play, so
it is true.
So let us know if you want to see any of that stuff or what you do want to see from us. We did ask our producers, and they kind of let us know what they were looking forward to. But we would love for some of you who are not producers yet to put in the comments on whatever platform you're listening to this on what you would be interested in us doing in the year 2023.
Oh yeah.
But until next time, may the Force be with you, and we thank you for joining the Jedi Eternal.